Hello, I'm Gary Tillotson, and I want to welcome you to a series of programs that we call Studio 3. Now, the purpose of this series is for us to meet people who lead lives that are interesting and engaging. Some of these individuals that you will see on these programs are people who have very high-profile personalities, but we don't know very much about them as people. Other individuals that you will see on this series of programs are people that you may never have seen before or heard of before. And yet, all of the people that you're going to see on these programs are individuals who have lives that are engrossing, and some of them are even provocative. Well, before I tell you about the guests for this particular program, I would like you to watch this.
If you ever gone to the Devaney and at the state fair, the exits
smoke there, but if there was a fire,
you couldn't
get out because the emergency exits are kept closed.
That's right, don't you? But also on the state fair, when you're trying to leave Devaney,
The state
it says on the doors it says no pass outs. I should hope not.
If you pass
I should hope not.
then you'd have to come
Absolutely
too.
not. You'd have to come too if you were going to pass out.
And when you'd be
You
there,
really wouldn't want to come out.
I don't want to get into that. That's messy.
Right. Absolutely.
What you have just seen is a clip from a television program that is broadcast over an access channel here in Lincoln. It's an access channel that is a companion to this particular channel, and that is Public Access Channel 14. The two young men have their own television program on that channel, and it is the most popular program on Channel 14. Justin Firestone and Kevin Gregorius will be my guests here in Studio 3. Kevin and Justin, I want to thank both of you for being here. This is a program that I've looked forward to for a very long time. First thing I want to do is to talk about your program, which is on Public Access Channel 14 here in Lincoln. One or the other of you tell us the name of your program.
The Foolery and Mancatdoo show.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right here. Where did that name come from?
We got tomfoolery from...
Well, I can tell that.
Okay.
That was, see, this was back in 7th grade. I took geometry with a bunch of 9th graders, and I would always...
You were a 7th grader taking geometry with 9th graders?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't always say much, I didn't know anybody, but teacher something, it's, what are you always trying to prove here, you're given something, you have to prove something, and one time one of the 9th graders asked me, what are you trying to prove here? And all I said was, oh, tomfoolery. And he thought that was, like the funniest thing that he'd heard in a while. So I just thought, when we were coming up with the name of the show, we'll just use that and pretend. That was kind of an idea that I would be tomfoolery, like a name kind of thing.
Okay, now, when I first discovered you, I thought it was Catmandoo, and it isn't. It's Mancatdoo. Where did that come from?
I think that came from the Bob Seger song.
Which is Catmandoo.
Catmandoo. I don't know. It might have been a Bugs Bunny cartoon, too.
I don't remember, yeah.
It's hard to tell with our stuff.
Yeah, I think it was just switching instead of Catmandoo, just trying to change words around, kind of a man-cat-do,
We originally had a third cast member, and he might have come up with the name.
Yeah. So we're not...
Oh, there was a third person?
Yeah. We're not... We don't know... We don't know quite where we came up with the name. Mancatdoo.
Okay, so Tomfoolery and the Mancatdoo show. Now, if there are one or two people who are out there in television land who have never seen your program, tell them how they can go about finding your program.
It's on
Wednesdays
at 7:30.
Starting, yeah, because the new, every 6 months we have to reapply for channel time. So, after these 6 months ending it'll be this year, December, we'll have to reapply, and we don't know for sure when it'll be on again, so you just have to keep watching the listings.
And you're only on once?
Once a week.
It used to be on at Monday at 10 and then Monday at 9:30.
Yeah, so we've had different times, and at one point we were on twice a week, but now we're not anymore. So.
All right. The other thing I think that people need to understand is that when they watch Channel 14, as when they watch Channel 5, this particular channel, that there are program listings that are punched up on the air. On Channel 14, it is usually at the top of every half hour that they punch up the programming. And so if they can't find you on Wednesday for some reason, or if they fail to remember when you're on the air, that they just need to tune into the Channel 14 and there will be a scheduled listing. at the top of the hour, and that's when they can find
Yeah.
you. So Channel 14,
Yeah.
and just watch the scheduling, or Wednesdays at
7:30.
7:30,
Yeah.
and you can see the Tomfoolery and
Mancatdoo
Mancatdoo show.
show.
Now, again, for the one or two viewers out there who have never seen your program, tell them what they're going to watch. If they tune in to the Tomfoolery and Mancatdoo show, what are they going to see?
We're not sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, we do different stuff every week. It's
What kind of stuff, though?
it's
It is not a cooking show.
no,
And
we
you don't repair flat tires.
no,
It's
we
a
try
plethora of
nutty.
nutty, zany concoctions.
We do sometimes we'll make fun of game shows. We've got we call it "What's That Smell," and we pretend that we say there's a smell in the studio, and we've got contestants trying to guess what the smell is, and that's one thing we do. And
Commercials.
sometimes we do fake commercials and skits just between Kevin and I, or we'll have guests on, and we just try to do all kinds of anything we think of that just to be funny, try to entertain. That's what we try to do in satire.
We don't go out of our way to make it entertaining for everyone. We usually do what we find entertaining.
Yeah, we do. We don't try to guess what's funny for the audience. We do only what we think is funny usually. So I mean, and we only do it to have fun while we're doing it too. So I mean, if it's a benefit. I mean, we enjoy doing it. We have a lot of fun doing the show, and it's just even more fun if people think it's funny for us.
Okay. How old are you, Kevin?
I'm 17.
And how old are
I'm
you?
17 too.
And when did this program begin?
The summer between 8th and 9th grade.
Yeah, 8th and 9th. Yeah, so that would be 3.5. Start 3.
1,
It'd be 3 years.
3 years. 4. 3.5.
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah,
It started with Justin and
Brad.
And
Yeah.
they did the first show all by themselves, and then I came on for the second show, and eventually.
Yeah,
Brad left.
he had to leave.
Okay, now this between the 8th and the 9th grade, did you both go to the same school?
Yeah.
Yeah, we met in 7th grade. We both played alto saxophone in
The
prep
two of
band.
you met
Yeah.
in 7th
Yeah,
grade.
we both played alto saxophone, and we had a class together
English.
that and oral communications.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in 7th grade still. Yeah, so we met in 7th grade, and we got along real well.
Okay, now, what I want to know is that 8th grade, which would have been when you were about 14 years
Yeah,
of age.
around there.
Okay, 13, 14, somewhere in there. Where did the idea of doing a television program come from? Most people who are 13 or 14 are having trouble learning how to chew gum and walk at the same time, let alone do television. People who are my age don't want to do television because it's very intimidating and daunting. And yet the two of you, and also, how did it come about? Who said, I want to do a TV show?
Well,
Justin
it was.
found it.
Yeah, it was my idea because you watch Ron Kurtenbach all the time. That used to be the thing we'd do, is watch Ron Kurtenbach every night, and every once in a while we'd call in, and it'd be waiting for our call to be on, And I think the first time I called in, I asked him if chickens had lips, and he'd go and I think he talked maybe 20 minutes about I don't remember it exactly.
Did he ever answer you, though?
I don't remember. It was
Not
such a
outright, it was
he doesn't.
abusive phone call.
Well, no, he didn't. It wasn't abusive. That was a long time ago. But anyway, I always thought, well, if he can be on on TV, why couldn't we be on TV? And did a little, research, kind of, call down there. It says if
No,
you
this
want,
is just you, though.
just me
You
and
haven't drafted your friend yet.
no, Brad originally, and I did most of the startup thing. I called down to Cablevision. It says, workshops, editing, studio, remote camera, all that. Call us and we'll set up, workshops. So we went down there and took the first
You and
one.
Brad.
Yeah, we did the remote camera first. And my mom, you have to sign a waiver. Your parents have to sign a waiver unless you're 19, that if any damage gets done to it, that they'll pay for
Sure.
it. And they had found out how much this remote camera cost. And they said, well, we're not going to sign that. And they called, my mom called down to Cablevision, and they said, well, probably do the studio. That's a bit safer, and they won't have to carry the camera back and forth. So then we took the studio workshop, and that was what our first shows were done from the studio.
Again, you and Brad.
Yeah.
Okay. And the first show was Brad and Justin.
And
you
Kevin.
came
I
on
was.
board.
Yes,
He was on the
I-
first show, too.
I had no technical experience.
Yeah.
You hadn't been through the
He was a
workshop?
guest,
no.
yeah, just a guest.
Okay. What happened to Brad?
He had
Phased
said that he had not wanted to do the shows anymore. At least I had heard him say that to me and Kevin, and we just started doing them without him.
Every now and then we'd do an editing block, or we'd go down to the studio and we'd call Brad, and Brad wouldn't show up.
Is he still alive? Is he
Oh yeah,
he's
he's
still
still
alive.
alive. Yeah, we've been trying to ask him. You know, I was thinking about asking him to come back. You know, so
We tried to call him.
we haven't called yet. We're going to.
Okay.
So.
All right. Now, how often did you go into the studio to do your shows?
Started out once every other week.
Yeah.
Once every other
Yeah, we
week?
used to do pretty often.
So it was,
Well, no, wait a second here, because Cablevision is way out in God's Forgotten Acres, way out in South Lincoln.
Yeah.
It used to be
How did you get out there? I mean, how did you ride your little bikes, or did your parents truck you
yeah,
out? or
parents
whatever?
always would drive us out there and pick us up. You know.
we were pretty enthusiastic about it then because it was a new idea.
Yeah.
Well, and you, if I'm not mistaken here, you were actually pioneers as far as your age is concerned.
Yeah,
for
that's
being
true.
On public access,
Yeah.
because I found you, I don't remember how many years ago, but I found you, and I think you were the only, quote, youngsters
Yeah.
who
Oh,
were
yeah.
doing anything on public access at that particular time. Okay, so it all came about just because you got an idea of if they can do it, why can't
Yeah,
I do it?
yeah.
And let's go out and see if we can do it
Yeah.
in the way you went. When you look back on those early shows now, those very beginning shows, I think you're answering my question here.
Yeah.
What's your reaction to all of that?
The first show we ever did made people sick.
Because
We had a lot of special screen effects, little color blobs dashing around the screen, and
you were
we
very,
get-
very, very much in love with that blue dot.
Yeah, the blue dot
I remember the
was
blue
a lot
dot.
of
It used to
fun.
drive me nuts, and I would say, "Leave the dumb thing alone."
Right. And the first time we did it, we did a show. We went back to school, said, "Oh, watch Monday. Monday we're going to be on." And Tuesday morning we went to school, and a few people said, "Oh, I had to turn it off because I was getting a headache." So I think we progressed.
Yeah, well, we'd like to think we have. The one thing
I
I
hope
noticed
we-
when you look back, Kevin looks really little. He's got a really high voice.
Well, you both look very little.
I know.
But you were very little.
Just picking
You
on
know,
Kevin,
You
though.
were very young. Okay. Now, I'd like to talk for a while about how you actually go about putting your shows together as far as the content is concerned. The inspiration, the ideas. Where does all that come from?
I get a lot of inspiration from, I used to watch a lot of TV, you know, and trying to, you know, make fun of like game shows, like we say, do that. A lot of, when we first did it, we had nothing planned, and we just go down to the studio and say, "Oh, what do you want to do?" You know,
Let's do this.
you know, let's do this. Somebody will say, "Oh, let's do this." We
That'll
did
be
that.
fun.
Yeah, we did. It was, you know, like we said, it was fun for us just to be down there.
Yeah.
And it was not till lately that we've been actually thinking about actual
we're gonna
skits, yeah, before we do.
Now, do you like keep a pad next to your chair or something, and whenever an idea strikes, you jot it down, or
Yeah, I've been doing that lately.
do the two of you get together and just sort of free associate in the way you go?
Justin will come up with some ideas, and I don't know, every other day or something, he'll call me up and say, "I got an idea for this show," and I'll say, "Well, that sounds good," and I had a few ideas. And
Yeah, it's kind of like that. And then I'll think something that Kevin says is really good, but I'll say, you know, something that could make it even funnier, something like that, you know.
And once
So it becomes a building block.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
once we have enough ideas collected up, say it's about time to do a new show.
Yeah.
I want to ask you an early program that you did a long time ago. You, Justin, took rubber bands and you strung these rubber bands across your face, which distorted
Oh, yeah.
your appearance.
That was one of
I
my
also
favorites.
screwed up the way
Yeah.
you talk. Where did you come up with that?
That
That was my idea.
it was?
The
Okay, yeah,
underwear idea.
Oh yeah, that was the show.
Is that when you put underwear on your head?
No, I was.
No.
What we did was, I don't know whether it was in good taste, but where we made
But you
fun
don't
of.
worry about good taste
No,
anyway, right?
no, we don't.
Okay.
It was where we'd made fun of like addiction shows or something like
Drug addict.
yeah, or something like that. We
I
just
was
said
an
people were addicted to underwear, and we said, oh, I always wore my underwear to bed when I was driving and all this, and it was just kind of like that. And one of our things was to always be in a different disguise, and we had pretty much run out of wigs for that show, I think. So I think what you might have came up with the idea of rubber bands to distort, something just to look different than we did earlier on a different
Okay.
part of the show.
All right. Now, something else that you do or have done recently, and I've noticed it from, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 shows in a sequence, you do a 2-3 kind of thing.
Two or three.
Where did that come from? And what is it? Where did it come from?
You can tell that's...
That's a Bugs Bunny cartoon where there's a lion and he asks, how many lumps do you want? Like sugar in the coffee, and the lion says, 2 or 3.
Yeah, he's got this 2 or 3 kind of, and I don't know why we started saying it really loud, but that's one of my favorite cartoon, skits or whatever. And,
Okay.
And so that's where we picked that up from.
And so the signature thing came
Yeah,
from
it's-
that.
yeah.
Are you the type of people that you know all of the Looney Tunes dialogue? And you can recite along. Yes, I've run into people that are like that, and they can just, and it almost ruins watching the cartoon for you because the person is doing the dialogue a beat ahead of the character, that kind of thing. Ron Kurtenbach, I want to talk about this man. How long have you been having fun at his expense? And
Since
I
we
emphasize the
began.
word fun because you two really aren't that mean or
No.
cruel. Some of the people that have tried to do so-called satire on Ron Kurtenbach have not been very kind to this man.
Yeah,
and
that's
you
true.
people have never been, at least as far as I know, you've never been deliberately malicious. But anyway, where did that all start?
That started.
First of
when-
all, I think before you explain,
Okay.
I think we need to explain to the 1 or 2 people out there who've never seen this man who Ron Kurtenbach is, what he does, and he's sort of the grand old man of public
I think he was
access.
one of the first people to ever use the channel, when it first started, and that's like a decade and a half ago, I think.
1972.
Really? Yeah. And he's been on forever, and he's like really educated, like a master's degree in, I'm not sure what, but he's got a master's degree, and he right now he works as a janitor down at UNL, and he does puts in a lot of time on the show. He does a call-in show, and people either he'll be there waiting to take your call live while he's taping, or he'll have an answering machine with your message, and he just responds and just basically gives his opinion, and sometimes he'll read poetry or tell his life story. So it's
And it all started when you were back in junior high.
yeah.
And
We'd
you
call
would
in.
call in, and you would have fun at his expense.
Yeah.
But then it sort of escalated from there, didn't it?
Well, he never thought that we were being too malicious.
Well, I don't think
Justin
we were
would
ever
call in.
being malicious. We'd always, you
Yeah.
know, like I say, do chickens have lips?
He'd always laugh, and he'd. I think even now, once we got the remote camera, we'd do the Ron Kurtenbach skits in front of the couch in a low-lit room,
Yeah.
and we'd have fun with that. Like, hello, this is Ron Kurtenbach. But I don't know how many of those he's seen, but I know he's seen at least the first one we did, and he really liked it a lot.
Now, you mentioned a little earlier that he's a Marxist, and I think
Yes.
we have to make it very clear that being a Marxist is not being a communist.
No.
Yeah. Well, he says
Two very
he's a
distinct-
small c communist.
Okay.
That's
A
not
communal
the,
person
yeah,
as
not
opposed
the
to
Stalinist.
a totalitarian
Yeah.
person.
Right.
Yeah. So Marxism, that'd be where workers own everything,
Of
not the
course.
government.
Of course.
Yeah.
He's a very dedicated individual.
I would say.
Now, just a little sidebar here. Let's go off on a tangent here for just a second as far as Ron Kurtenbach is concerned. React personally about this man. Tell me what you think of his position and his politics and this type of thing.
I kind of respect him for his politics. It takes a lot of guts, especially in Lincoln, which is like really highly conservative area, to like come out and say I'm a Marxist, or and like have his show on, was it 8 times a week,
Yeah, something like
7 or
that.
8 times a week, and just make yourself open to the attacks that you know are going to come, because he gets a bunch of people attacking him for his hair,
Mhm.
his job, his political views, and just his show in general. And I kind of respect him for that. I don't know if I totally agree with everything he's saying all the time, but
I think he's a generally well-meaning person. Some people I think somebody calls in and said, you've got to expect abuse for what you're saying, and I don't think you should have to expect abuse, because I think that people say, well, I believe in the First Amendment, but what are you doing on TV saying what you want to say? Well, you shouldn't be saying things like that, because a lot of people, I think most of it comes from people don't identify the Stalinism from communism. I don't think people...
They don't separate out
I don't
the
think
two.
people... I don't think many people really understand the differences, and whether or not either one's, and of course Stalinism we know isn't good, but...
Well, it's no longer around.
Yeah, no longer around.
For the most part.
But I think if people were a little bit more educated, and I think that might be one of his problems, is I think he's really educated, but he doesn't speak at a level where everybody understands what he's saying.
Okay, so basically, your approach to Kurtenbach is a gentle kind of satire, with respect
Yeah.
intended. Okay.
Using lots of big words.
We don't-
Kevin does pretty good Kurtenbach.
We don't want to irritate him,
Yeah.
because it'd probably come around.
He doesn't look like Ron really, but he does. He's got the speaking.
The mannerisms.
Yeah, he's got the speaking style pretty well down, because Kevin knows most of the big words too. So.
Okay, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to ask you to tell me about memorable moments and embarrassing moments that you've had with your programming, things that really you're very proud of, or that you're very fond of, or moments also that you would like to run and hide.
That's right.
Think about those particular moments and you think, I wish we hadn't done that. But now I want to talk about technically the context of the program and how you put all of that together. When you began, way back when you were in junior high and you began this, did you just turn the camera on, set the tape rolling, and just go through to the end and that was your program, or did you edit?
Well, we hadn't taken the editing workshop for a while. That was just recent.
I didn't even know it existed.
But we didn't run just 30 minutes straight. We'd do segments, and
we just push pause.
Yeah, we'd hit record, and then when we were done, we'd hit the pause button, and we'd wait a while, think of something, and then we'd hit pause again and start recording. So I mean, it's a straight tape. We didn't edit anything, from middle of the show to the beginning, that we liked. It was just all straight, and there'd be really bad edit pause marks,
Right.
and so that's how it worked. We had no beginning, no
intro and no exit,
it would just come on, and nobody would know this is the Foolery and Mancatdoo show. We just start, no introduction or ending.
No continuity.
Yeah, that's true. No continuity to the skits. We just run straight,
Okay, now the way in which you've been working now, how does that differ from the way you used to work? Because your shows do have more sequence to them and they have more of a polish to them.
Now we don't like to use the studio too much anymore, because there's only two of us, and it's tough to run from the studio to the back room and hit the pause.
If we had more, if we had a crew and we could run, audio things that we wanted to do.
Now we just take the remote camera out, take 2 or 3 tapes. Like we said before, we take a bunch of our ideas, we figure out how we're going to do them, where we're going to do them.
While you mentioned out in the field, and you take the video equipment, go out into the field, explain to me your recent programs. This is the July and December program.
Yeah.
This is the May and June program. I think I know where you got that. I think I know what you're satirizing, but would you tell us where that came from?
Well, I was making fun of all these sales, like department stores will have. It's the Christmas in July sale, and I just thought, that'll be the Christmas in July and August back to school sale, and that turned, hey, that'd be a great thing for the show. And one of the things that's really changed the show is my computer, with some of the video capabilities that it has, and I can hook it up.
Now, do you do all that at home?
Yeah, all at home, and I can hook it up to my VCR on half-inch tape, and any video things that I'll do at home, I'll have to take and edit up on.
So you do that much dubbing up and editing?
Yeah, I do. We do some of that stuff, and we'll take, and I've got this little black and white camera, it's like a security camera, and and every once in a while we'll do something in black and white, it's anything that we have, we can try to put it in the show,
But now you do more editing than you've done in the past, too.
Right.
Because you have that capability, so you do that type of thing. Okay. A little later, I want to talk to you about public access channel and some of the controversy that's been going on about that access channel in the last year. We'll come to that in a few moments. But now I want to ask you about memorable moments, moments of things you've done that you're proud of or that you're fond of and that you like. If you had to show your grandkids, for example, you could only edit all of your programming down to, let's say, 10 minutes. What would you put on that tape?
I'd put on the, probably way back when we did a Smogman episode.
Smogman?
That was myself and Justin.
And Andy.
And another friend of ours, Andy.
We played, what's that, or Wow, That's Sour.
We played a game called Wow, That's Sour, and then the winner's decision came
Wow,
down to...
that's sour, like a sour taste.
We put Kool-Aid on our tongues. And
Yeah, just from the straight packets, that was the game we'd play. See how much we could eat.
yeah.
All right, now-
And the judge was someone named Smogman, and I put on a big wig. I got a bucket of water, and I lit smoke balls and I threw them in the water.
And we had smoke, and he goes, who won in today's game?
That was probably one of my favorites.
Why?
It was fun to do. Plus, people would come up to me on the street, or Justin on the street, and say, "What was that on TV? You had a bunch of smoke and a bunch of kids kneeling in the yard." I mean, that at that time that ran for about 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
At that time, that particular part got most of the questions.
Okay, memorable moments for you.
One of my favorite ones was when we just gotten a pool table for Christmas, and we I tried to tape some trick shots that I had done, and I did a masse. It's where you hit down on the cue ball and it spins on the table, it curves on the table into it, and like here was a 9 ball and 8 ball and the cue ball up on the rail, and I hit the cue ball and I got it to curve into the 9 around the 8, make the 9, and I did that like 3 times. That's the only 5. That's the only time I've ever been able to do it. You know, I can't do it anymore. This trick.
But you have it on tape.
But we have it on tape, and that was one of my favorite parts. And I think I really like playing What's That Smell. This is one of my favorite things.
What's that smell?
Yeah.
Yes.
Another game show that we do.
Okay. Where did I bet you I can't eat 2, or you can eat 2, or it's a little skit that you do where you bet each other that explain it, because I'm not doing a good job.
We got that from Lisa's Idiot Show.
Which is another public access show.
Yeah.
And socially, we're not too mad at each other, but
Yeah,
our shows tend to vie between...
You and Lisa, you're talking.
Yeah, we try to. I think we're competing, but we never actually said anything to each other. Yeah.
And she did something, a segment like, I'll eat something with 5 ingredients, and they'd toss in pickles, and then mustard.
In
something
blender,
else
and they put it in a
blender.
blender. It's
And they had
really
to drink
sick.
it. And so we did that. I bet I can eat one thing.
Yeah, we were over at Kevin's,
Yeah.
and I said, I'm hungry. Why don't we play? I bet I can eat it.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, what do you got? You know, we've got Oreos and crackers. You know, it was just a skit, making fun of her skit, plus I got to eat something at Kevin's house. So it worked out pretty good.
And it ended with, I bet I can eat 12 things, and it was sausage.
Yeah.
So not too many people caught on to that.
The idea was that there was
There was
12
so many
ingredients in
and
sausage.
of
Yeah.
course. Oh, I see. And so once again, you took a fellow cable
Yeah.
access person of a program, and you were just simply poking fun at something they had done.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. Embarrassing moments, embarrassing incidents or situations that you've had in your shows. I mean, I'll start you off. I'll tell you something that I've seen you do that I don't like recently, and it's toot. I find toot to be just, what I'm going to do
animation.
is we'll show the viewers what
Okay.
toot's all about.
Okay.
But it's an animated little character who
Andy
breaks
and I.
wind and other
Yeah.
things. Well, okay, the technical aspect of it I can appreciate, but I just don't like it. It's my age speaking.
Yeah.
To me, it's just in bad taste. It's your program, you like it,
Yeah.
you put it on, and away you go. But now that's something I would be embarrassed about if toot were something I was involved with.
I met somebody talking to us, and we have cards made up, and I said, oh, well, here's my card. And he says,
Whoa, you have cards.
yeah, I made cards on my computer,
Business
too.
cards.
That
Business
says
card.
Tom Foolery and
Yeah.
Mancatdoo
Yeah.
Show?
Yep.
Oh, I'll be producer. and all
Yeah,
that.
that's right.
Okay.
And I go, well, he says, well, I've seen this show. He says, that's the one that's got that guy, the Toot animation. And that's how he recognized it. So it's kind of kind of it's different because he like really he thought it was a great thing. So I know it's real different. We do it because we think it's fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and also, as I said, it's my age.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to understand that
I don't know
people are in my bracket.
if we had more to choose from, I don't know if that would have gone on, but I think we originally put it on because that's what we had.
Yeah.
Justin
Maybe
had-
that's what I don't like about it, is not so much the actual animation, but it goes on and on and on and on and on and
Yeah,
on and
yeah.
on. And enough already. You made your point.
Yeah.
I see how well done it is. Now go on to something else. And maybe that's what I don't like
Yeah.
about it as much. But anyway, now embarrassing
Embarrassing.
moments or things that you cringe at when you think about them.
The first show.
Mm-hmm.
The first show that made everybody sick. I don't.
Well, plus, yeah, when we'd put on, when we run out of wigs and we put on really strange outfits. I think one time I had like a pantyhose thing on my head with this balloon. Those balloons are really long.
Yes.
That I had one of those on top of my head with a pantyhose to keep it on, and I looked really bad. And I think there's quite
I'm
a few.
wait a minute, I'm a little curious. This is when you were a junior high student.
Yeah.
Most junior high boys do not carry pantyhose around.
No,
with
it
them.
was.
How
It
did you-
wasn't ours. I don't know where we got it.
It was your mom.
This was
No,
done
it
in your
wasn't.
house or done in the studio?
Studio.
But you truck all this stuff into the studio?
Yeah, they don't
There's
have
some
props.
stuff down. Yeah, you can't store anything
So you
down
would just
there.
rummage around your house and grab
Oh, yeah,
things and
yeah.
off you'd go to the studio, and
Oh, yeah.
whatever you brought with you is what you improvised with?
Yeah.
They
And somehow
they did have
pantyhose
one
ended
prop.
up in the
Yeah,
box.
that's
I
right.
see, okay.
They had one prop there. They had a
Mannequin.
the top half of a mannequin.
It had a head
And,
and
just,
arms
it
that
was
were
like
like
a-
broken,
yeah,
like this.
The arms didn't work.
It was, yeah, we used the mannequin for quite a few shows just because it was down there.
And that got taken away from us.
Yeah, that, we don't know. It just disappeared mysteriously one show. So we never get to use it again.
So the pantyhose is something that embarrasses
Yeah.
you, and your very first program with all the little blue dots.
Yeah.
Every now and then the
Other thing that I thought was the game show we did called Wheel of Cash.
You'll have cash?
Yeah.
that was extremely bad.
Yeah, it was just this little plastic deal with a marble on it and just spun it around. It was just giveaway, and we'd go,
Cash.
Wheel of Cash. It was just, it was just
It was
terrible.
bad.
Tell me about reactions that you've run into, people that have watched your program of any age. How do they react?
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay. A lot of the times I'll be going downtown, whether to Love Library or just bumming around downtown, just walking. And I don't know, every now and then some little kid, maybe 10 years old, will come out. How big is 10? No, he'll come up to me or she. I'll say, "Aren't you on TV?" And I'll say, "Yes, I am." He says, "I watch you every week," which astounds me because they repeat so often.
And we don't even watch it every
We
week.
don't. I don't really watch it except in the
Yeah.
studio anymore. 'Cause
Yeah,
Well, after you've worked on it and you've seen
yeah,
it.
that's right.
once is enough.
Yeah, I've run into a couple things like that. Oh, we watch that show every week, and I've run into people that say that's the strangest show I've ever seen, and I haven't heard too much, bad
Neither.
about it. Yeah, but every once in a while somebody will say that was really stupid. I think,
Right.
and of course.
Has anybody ever really chewed you out or really gotten angry
No,
with you?
not really mad, but
Have you ever gotten letters or phone calls?
We
got
got
it.
one phone call.
yeah, a phone call from Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, so we don't know what that was all about. Just some girl called up and asked us what we were doing on TV, and I think
The best part about the criticism or praise was in 9th grade we had a gym teacher named Mr. Nielsen.
Mr. Nielsen.
Nielsen, and I don't know if it's true, but he said that his kids watched us instead of Sesame Street. And so I don't know how far that was really true, but
Yeah. So I mean, we don't try to please everybody, not in any way.
Do you ever get that strange experience of where you're in a store or you're running there and you're running around and you're not paying a whole lot of attention to the people around you, and that you notice there is a person or two who are
Staring,
looking at
yeah.
you
Oh,
as
yeah.
if they recognize you,
Yeah.
but they're not quite sure, and you know you don't know them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's really odd, and that type of
I
thing.
think I had that once at Super C.
yeah. It happened
Yeah.
at grocery stores a lot.
Yeah. Well, I don't go to the grocery stores.
Well,
I try to
don't
avoid
either,
them.
but when
The
I
times
do,
you've been in it, that's
Yeah,
crazy. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I know that there are public well, I shouldn't say public, there are access channel junkies out there.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've run into people that know you or know of your program, and they know that we've collaborated on a few projects, and they'll say, oh, do you have those guys? Do you work with those guys in this type of thing? And they recognize your program. They don't know much about you. That's why we're doing this program. But, you know, they recognize you. I want to talk about the two of you as people now, not as TV producers, but just as people. And
Here's where it gets boring.
Your backgrounds. Oh, it gets boring. Okay. I'm going to start with you, Kevin, and then we'll catch up on Justin. Where were you born and where were you reared?
I was born in Missouri. I think St. Paul. I'm not too sure. Saint something, Missouri. And we
One
lived
of the saints in Missouri.
something,
Okay.
Missouri. And we lived there, I think, for 2 years. Maybe 3 years. Because my brother was born in that time also, when we still lived there. And then my dad was offered a job in Lincoln, and we moved here.
Okay. But you spent the bulk of your time then here in Lincoln.
Yeah. I was in Lincoln before I went to preschool.
Okay. Tell me about your family.
My family.
Mother, father, brother, sister.
I have a younger
parent,
brother. He's 16, or no, he's 15. Sorry.
He will be 16.
Well, he'll be 16 when this airs. 15 when this airs. Sorry. He's my mom, and she just got her master's degree in something like health and human services, I think. And my father works at Lincoln General Hospital.
Now, when you say he works there,
He's an anesthesiologist.
ah,
And he works there.
is this Dr. Gregorius?
Yeah. I guess he's a doctor. I don't personally consider him a doctor I don't consider anybody a doctor unless they actually cut into someone. So,
Does he have the degree, though?
yes, he has the degree.
Okay, so you would address him as Dr. Gregorius.
I address him as dad.
I would address him as Dr. Gregorius. Okay, well, anyway, the father is an anesthesiologist.
Yes.
Your mother just got her master's degree, and you have a younger brother. Okay? Pets?
I've had many pets. The first pet we had was a black lab. That was when we lived in Missouri, and she was hyperactive, so we had to give her to a farm. The second dog we had, just like Springer Spaniel, I think, and it was out of control also, so we got rid of that. Then we moved to a different house, and a friend of ours who lived on a farm gave us a cat who really didn't like me and didn't like anyone, so we got rid of that too. And then soon after that, from then on, it's just been cats. We've had a bunch of cats. One of them got eaten by a badger.
Oh.
My mom ran over one of my cats once. It was just a little thing. And I think we're on our 5th cat now, and our 3rd dog. She's a yellow lab.
School activities, not the classes
No.
that you're in, but the extracurriculars. What kind of things do you like to do?
I play tennis for this school, or I have been playing tennis for this school. We'll see if I'm still playing. I make the cut. I'm in
So you're on the tennis, will be on the tennis
I'm
team.
in Amnesty International here. I'm also on the debate
Oh, wait a minute,
team.
whose idea was it to get involved in Amnesty International?
That was my idea, to get involved.
Why?
I really don't know. I think during our sophomore, when you go in as a sophomore for the orientation day, they had all these clubs lined out, and Amnesty International was the only one that sounded valuable to me. I mean, the others were like Synchronites or something politically concerned students, which I wouldn't find very useful just to go and talk about my political views, but
Okay, Amnesty International, tennis club.
debate. I've been in debate for 3 years, and is that mine anything else? I don't think I have anything else, just this show.
Do you, are you employed? Do you have a job?
Yeah.
Doing what, where?
Right now, I'm working at Sampson's Florist.
Okay, but you also do volunteer work, am I correct?
Yes.
And you volunteer at?
Lincoln General Hospital.
So it keeps you very busy between your volunteer work and your job itself?
Excuse me. I volunteer once a week on Thursday, and at the flower shop, my hours are actually pretty decent, so
Okay.
they don't conflict.
I have to ask this question, so forgive me. This is your
That's okay.
standard, what is your favorite color kind of question, so forgive me. Do you have any hobbies?
Hobbies.
Yes, isn't that a wonderful question? Do you have any hobbies?
The television show.
Is your hobby?
Is my main hobby. Also.
Golf, chess?
No, not golf. My newest little project. A friend of mine and I are organizing concerts, like rock concerts, down at the Malone Community Center.
With local talent, I assume.
Most of it's local. As of late, this past summer, we've had one band from England come. We've had a bunch of bands from like California, Wisconsin, Utah.
Wow.
Out-of-state bands.
You graduate at the end of the upcoming school year. You will be
93.
a senior. You graduate 93.
Yes.
Then what?
Then I don't know where I'm going to go to college. My mom is threatening me with UNL.
Threatening you with
Threatening. If I don't keep my grades up, it's UNL.
Where would you like to go?
I would like to go to DePaul.
Which is where?
DePaul's in Illinois. It's in Chicago.
Why DePaul? What do they have that you want, I guess is what I'm asking.
I'd like to go into liberal arts. I'd like to get a law degree and possibly get into the FBI, if I could.
Which leads me into my next question, which is your occupational goals.
Yeah, I've had, I don't know, I guess every kid like starts out like, I want to be a fireman or a cowboy. But from when I was maybe 6, I always wanted to like go scuba diving or something. But around 6th grade, a friend of mine I met, and his father was in the FBI, and that got really interested. So I wrote them letters, and they sent me a bunch of stuff. They sent me an application for later.
And that interest has stayed with you all of these 6 years?
That's still my dream. And
Okay.
if I can't get in the FBI, I'd like to get married, have my wife work, and I'll just sit home and cook.
Sit home. Do you like to cook?
I'd like to learn.
Oh, you don't know how to cook,
No, I
but you
don't know
think
how
you'd
to
like
cook.
to learn.
I'd probably like to write a book too, but
On cooking?
I'd just like to write a book. I have no idea
Just
what.
so you can say, this is Kevin Gregorius'
Yeah.
book.
I don't know. Working at the flower shop it's fun, but I think on the whole, I'd rather not work.
Okay.
Call me
that-
lazy or
That leads me into
unmotivated.
that leads me into my next question then. And this is very difficult to do when you are your age.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, people your age have a tendency to hate these kind of questions, but bear with me.
Okay.
Look ahead to 45.
When I'm 45,
When you're 45, which is almost 3 times your age now. I realize you're older than that, but almost 3 years. What would you like to do? How do you see your life? How would you like to have your life be?
I'd like to live in some suburb close to a really large city, get married, have a kid or two. And I don't know if I
And not work
do,
and
yeah.
stay home and cook and write
if I do make it to the FBI, I don't know. I'd probably still like to get married. I probably would want to have a kid because I don't know.
As an FBI person, you don't want a child.
As an FBI, I'm either interested in the drug enforcement aspect or else criminal behavior, criminal science behavior. But I've always been interested in the drug enforcement, and my friend's father, who's in the FBI, has repeatedly told me not to get in there because that's where the people get shot.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, I mean that's probably what turned me on to it. It'd be exciting.
Okay, now it's your turn, Justin.
All right.
Where were you born and were you reared?
Born in Lincoln and still here. Haven't moved anywhere yet. So
Okay.
I'm kind of sheltered. I consider myself
You're
being
very sheltered.
Yeah.
We should also explain that both of you go to Southeast High School.
Yeah.
You're Southeast students, and we forgot to do that earlier. You will be a senior also.
Yeah.
Tell me about your family.
I've got mom who she went to Southeast Community College, and I don't know what kind of degree she has, but she's been working as kind of like a secretary, and she does desktop publishing, on computers, doing that kind of stuff. That's pretty neat stuff that she can do. And my dad's, his job title is manager of Lincoln Construction or something like that at Pella Windows, and he's like big carpenter guy and knows how to do everything down there. And I've got an older brother who right now is going to UNL. And UNL. And I don't know.
L.
Yeah, University of Nebraska Lincoln. And I don't know what he's going to become. So
Now, how much older is he than you?
he's 5 years, about 4.5 years, but it's really 5.
Okay. What kind of school activities are you involved in outside of the classes, the curriculum?
Well, I was treasurer of student council, and then I resigned, and I didn't run for re-election next year, this senior year. So, and outside of that, almost nothing except being on the newspaper, which is I'm entertainment editor this year. So I think, and I get to do all the layout, which is desktop publishing. So I'm getting practice, at home too. So I think that'll be pretty fun.
Are you employed? Do you have a job?
I took a permanent leave of absence.
From a job?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have been employed.
I was a pizza boy, then I went up to, I was oven boy, but then I graduated to oven man.
Oven man?
Yeah.
The boy became an oven man?
Yeah, it was, because we had ovens, these conveyor ovens, and all you do is put the pizza on, and it goes through, cooks it, then you cut it, and that's it. But then they got these actual conventional ovens where you have to, the 650-degree heat is barreling out at the oven at you, and you have to pop bubbles, and so I called myself Oven Man then when we got to do those.
Do you do any volunteer work?
No.
Okay. Do you have any hobbies?
I like to play pool a lot, 8-ball, 9-ball.
Well, I wondered when you were talking about the shot that you got
do
on
trick
tape,
shots,
I was wondering if you enjoyed the pool.
And write music on my computer. I write stories, like short stories, and I've had a couple of those published. I had one in a national magazine, and so I was pretty proud of that. And right now I'm working on putting all my stories together into a book type thing. So with kind of like Canterbury Tales idea, where each character tells their story on the way. And that's the kind of thing that I'm working on right now. I got that almost half done. So hopefully, whether or not anybody will publish it, I don't care. I just want to have it all together in like a nice
In a
bound.
manuscript form,
Yeah, nice tiny thing.
Okay,
like
now
that.
after you graduate, what are your educational plans, or do you have any?
I haven't really decided on anything that I want to do for sure, but I probably end up going to UNL and either in history or like maybe broadcast journalism or something like that, be able to work at any TV and maybe some kind of any kind of broadcasting or economics. Those are the main things that I've been interested in.
Okay. And when you get out of college, future employment?
That's what I don't really know. Either a writer or maybe I'll take over for Jay Leno. So
For Jay Leno?
Yeah.
Okay, well, why not?
Yeah.
All right. But those kind of questions always used to bother me, because how do you know at 17 what you're going to be doing by the time you're 45?
Yeah.
Because life has a way of throwing left curves at you and so many things happen. But if you could do what you want to do at 45, how would you see your life?
I'll be living in, it'll be a huge house, hopefully, but I won't need a house bigger than, with all these empty rooms with, like guest rooms. I'll have a huge house with a big lawn, and I'll have like my old good friends living in houses around me, is what I'd like. Maybe some like in Florida or California or Hawaii or something like that, maybe out of the country, but have a big house, and then all my friends have houses living around me, is what I'd like. So,
Okay.
then,
Now I've got a couple of Barbara Walter questions, so just bear with me here. But they're questions that I think give us some insight as to the kind of people you are. I'll ask you one, then I'll ask him one, and I'll come back and ask each of you the same questions, but I'll give you a chance to think about them. Kevin, you have one day, just one 24-hour period of time, it can be any day that you want, that's totally yours. You don't have to go to school, there are no demands on you from work, no demands on you from family. It's your period of time where you can do whatever you want to do. How would you spend it?
How would I spend it? I'd sleep till noon, then I'd go down to the cinema at 9 and vegetate for a 12-hour period.
Go through every movie they have,
Every
right?
movie they have. Since I knew theater came out, I've been wanting to do that. That's how I'd spend it.
Okay. Now, Justin, your question, and then I'll come back and ask each of you the same question here. I'm not going to do this, but if I were to give you $75 in cash, all right, and you have to spend this $75 on you. You cannot pay bills with it. You cannot pay back your mom. This is your money. How would you spend it?
Let's see, I'd probably buy some, depending, I don't know, I'd go look at like some music stores, get some CDs, some, I don't know, I'm hooked on classical music right now, so.
Now, wait a minute. When you say classical music,
Not classic rock.
but when you say classical music, what do you mean? Are you into symphonic music, chamber music,
anything
Baroque?
from Baroque to piano, you know, like I've got harpsichord music, Gershwin, you know, anything from Baroque all the way up to modern classical music, which, is that oxymoron? Modern classical?
No, it's not. I understand what you
Yeah.
mean. It's not an oxymoron.
Yeah. So anything, you know, that period of music, but right now I'm on like more towards like Tchaikovsky music, that kind of music.
So you're maybe working your way back into the
Yeah.
pure classic
Yeah.
as opposed to the
Yeah.
more contemporary?
I'd buy that, and then I'd probably go see, probably go to the Starship 9, go see a movie.
And help Kevin veg
Yeah,
out.
I'd probably vegetate with Kevin there. And if I had $75, I'd buy Kevin's ticket for him. Boy, that'd be nice. And I know, I'm a good kid. Then I'd go eat. Let's see, I'm probably down to about $30 left because I'd buy at least 2 CDs, and they're not cheap.
2 or 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3. Those, and I'd like to buy. See, sometimes CDs, classical CDs, are cheaper, you know, but not. I think they're too much. But anyway, I'd go eat dinner. Let's see, I'd eat dinner at grandmother's. I'd get a bowl of French onion soup, and I'd probably have 2. And then I'd go to Village Inn and eat a piece of strawberry pie. And then, see, probably got $10 left. Well, I don't know, it's not that expensive. I'd leave a big tip,
Oh, yeah.
at least 15%. And then, I don't know, I'd pay somebody to mow my lawn, so I wouldn't have to.
That's
Because you
the
don't
way.
like mowing
Yeah,
lawns.
well, I've never have, but now my parents are making me because we got a new lawnmower. So I'd pay somebody to mow the lawn for me.
Okay. You have $75, and you cannot pay off debts. You can't pay back anybody. How are you going to spend the 75?
I'd probably buy 2 or 3 CDs like Justin. Probably.
2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Classical music?
I'm sort of into classical music.
I got him hooked on it.
He got me hooked on it. I don't know. I'm also into like new age punk bands. Like most people probably haven't heard of half the bands I listen to. But I'd spend some of it on that. I'd probably take somebody out to dinner or take myself out to dinner, a huge dinner at a nice restaurant. Probably take in a movie. I'd probably wash my car. Some of it. It doesn't get. I'd probably vacuum it out, too. It needs to be cleaned. Then, I don't know. I'd probably buy a T-shirt or 2.
All right. Now you have one 24-hour period of time, one day, that's just yours. No demands on your time from any outside source. What would you do with the day?
I'd do what I do. See, I don't have very much demand on it right now, so I'd probably play a little pool, shoot some baskets, you know, basketball, and then if I could, I'd take my music on my CDs. I'd like to take them to a radio station and play them over the whole city, for the whole city, because I don't think.
That'd be great.
So I don't think enough people listen to classical music. I'd force my will upon the city for a day.
Fascist.
Yeah, I'd be fascist.
A musical fascist.
Yeah, and then
Classical musical fascist.
yeah, then I suppose I'd spend the rest of the day at the Starship with Kevin, vegetating. So
Okay.
do something like that, or maybe I'd just film a
Sleep.
show too and
Oh,
sleep.
yeah.
Yeah, so you know all of that's in no particular order.
In years to come, how do you see your involvement in broadcasting and television? Will all of this have just been a chapter in your lives, or do you intend to pursue it in some manner as you get older? And I'm not talking about just college. I'm talking about down the line.
I think it'd be a lot of fun. From what I understand, I don't know if it's very difficult to get into or not, to get into it, broadcasting.
Well, I wasn't
so.
speaking professionally necessarily, but I was just wondering, is this something that you're just going to do now for this particular time in your life, and then when you get much older that
I hope not. I'd like to do something.
Yeah, you know, you say, I'd like to always be doing this,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the way I am. I'd like to always do something, you know, for entertainment because I think it's fun. Like Kevin said, it's almost a hobby, or it is a hobby.
But entertainment in a public way, not necessarily just entertainment for yourself.
Either way.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like maybe like we were going to try out for being in the MCs for our talent show. So I mean, even you know, on something like that, you know.
I don't think I'd like to just go around and make home movies, but
Yeah, I think it's in our personalities to want to be funny for everybody.
plus I think that both of us really like to project our own humor to everybody else, whether they're going to like it or not.
Yeah.
We
But
like
at
it
least
to be
find
out
a
there.
public forum of some sort.
Yeah.
I see. This is a program that I have looked forward to for a very long time because for a long time I had no idea who the two of you were because back in those days the producers did not have to put their
That's
name
right.
and credits on their programs. And so I would watch these two kids, and I did not watch you all the time, but I would dip in. I'm a channel changer, and so I would
Right.
dip into you every once in a while, and I would say, oh, there they are, and let's see what they're up to now. And I was very curious as to who you were, because most of the time junior high kids just don't do this kind of thing. And so when you finally started putting your name and address and telephone numbers and those kind of things, I began to get a sense of who you were. You could put a name with the faces,
Yeah.
that type of thing. And when we were putting this particular series of programs together, I was thinking, these are two people I really would like to sit and talk with to find out what brought them to the place that they are in. I want to thank both of you for being here in Studio 3 this afternoon. I've really enjoyed talking with you, and I imagine people have enjoyed listening to us. So
Yeah.
thank you
No,
again
thanks
for being
for
with us.
having us here. Yeah,
You're more than welcome.